Greetings and welcome. We are in 303, and we are with Mr. Conrad's book, Unstoppable. And we're now going to look at lesson number 4. This is one of the more important chapters of this book because of a word picture. Let's write that down at the top of your journal. A word picture. Mr. Conrad, like Mr. McGee, likes word pictures that can kind of really stay in your mind. This is one of the most profound word pictures of his book. Let's take a look at it. It's called Break the Chains. Break the Chains. Of course, the focus here is, what do you choose to accept in life? Let's also write down this word on our journals. Learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is an interesting idea, concept. Let's take a look at the word picture. I was pumped. I'm reading with you now, page 9. I was pumped the first time the circus came to our little town in northwest Colorado. I couldn't wait to take our 2-year-old son, Colton. He'd never been to the circus before. Well, at least that was my excuse for going. Fact was, I'd never been to the circus before either. What we saw there was entertaining, but what I learned at the circus was empowering and unforgettable. This traveling circus was billed as having 20 elephants, more than any other. Sure enough, after the majority of the acts were over, in came the elephants, the highlights of the show. They marched around the ring and stopped right in front of us. Then they got up on their hind legs and turned toward us. Now, we were sitting in the front row, and I'm looking up at this foot the size of a desk, trying to show no fear to my 2-year-old and thinking, I hope that elephant doesn't lose his balance. Meanwhile, Colton was giggling and pointing, saying, Daddy elephant, Daddy elephant. The elephants did a few more tricks, then they left. They did all of this with one guy, tapping the elephant with a stick. I was impressed until I went outside and saw all 20 elephants just standing there. I was amazed. Kids were crawling all over them. Every one of those elephants was held to the ground with a small stake and a little chain no bigger than what you would tie a dog with. When relating this story to my class, I asked, why were those elephants just standing there? One kid said, they're in our town. There's nothing better to do. I disagreed. If I were an elephant, I'd want to bust through the jungle chasing girl elephants. So I questioned the guy with the stick, how do you get them to do that? He said 2 words I've never forgotten. Learned helplessness. I asked him to explain. He proceeded to tell me how they conditioned the biggest and strongest animal who walks the planet Earth to just stand there. We take them when they're a baby, because even a baby elephant's really strong. We take a big, huge stake and pound it deep into the ground. Then we attach a thick, strong chain to the stake. Next, we bring Mama over. You see, Mama's been through the process and baby follows. Now we chain baby to the stake and take Mama away. Baby cries out for Mama, Mama. Mama cries back, baby, come here, come here. Pulling with all of its might, baby cries, I can't, I can't, I can't. This goes on for several days until the baby elephant's self-talk goes from I can't, to I won't, to I don't. Then you don't need such a big stake or a thick chain. You can get the biggest and strongest animal that walks on the planet to just stand there because he does not think he can break the chain. There have been documented cases where elephants burned to death while chained to a stake, all the while believing they could not break the chains. I looked into the eyes of those elephants at the circus. Do you think I saw a wild, raging beast? No. I saw a depressed, defeated animal that had learned to be helpless. The really sad thing is, during my 26 years in the teaching profession, I've seen tons of kids who were just like those elephants, and a lot of teachers too. People who were told so many times, you can't, that gradually they became stoppable. They don't. Here's a fact, my friend. You can either break the chains, or the chains are going to break you. I'll look at the line again. It's such an important one. You can either break the chains, or the chains are going to break you. The first day Donnie walked in my classroom, it was plain to see those chains had been holding him down for years. I didn't realize that one day I would play a small role in helping Donnie break those chains. Over 700 people got to witness it that day in the auditorium. There wasn't a dry eye in the place. Even the toughest kids in the school were emotional watching Donnie on stage as he showed them and told them to fill your cup. I just want to pause for a moment and point out two things about this chapter. One, the idea of the power of self-talk. The words we say to ourselves. The words we say to ourselves define who we are. Right? Define who we are. Number two, this idea of learned helplessness. After a while, we can actually begin to believe it's impossible for us. What does this word picture seem to suggest? Think about it. What does this word picture seem to suggest, right? Powerful word picture. The most powerful of animals can be easily controlled by a small chain once they believe something, right? And they no longer question it. Obviously, a challenge for us in this study is to begin to question some of the assumptions and to begin to pay attention to some of this self-talk, right? When we begin to talk to ourselves. Thank you.